Is cash always king in the real estate market? Let's talk about that today on Ducky's Real Estate Reality Check. So let me start by saying that yes, there are cash offers out there, especially the ones that are coming at or above asking price, giving the sellers pretty much everything they want that are going to be hard to beat. At least here in Northeast Florida, that's not necessarily a large percentage of deals. I'm talking about the rest of the majority that you're probably going to be competing against. So the first bullet point, come in at a fair price. Now, that might sound a little contradictory being a buyer's agent, but the reality is I think both ways, both as a buyer's and a listing agent. I'm not saying you necessarily have to make all of your offers full price. I just pulled up the numbers from Real MLS, which is our MLS here in Jacksonville. At the lowest since October, the original list to sales price ratio of a home was 92.9%. So if a house, for simple math, was $100,000, it sold for $92,900. Now, since January, it slowly has creeped back up. That percentage is 94.6%. Now, you're probably thinking that, oh, that's not even 2%. Well, my friends, the average sales price for April was $462,395. That's a difference of just under $8,000, and that's a lot to a seller, especially if they're buying their next house. Point number 2, be flexible about the seller's needs. Timeline, occupancy, those are really going to be the two biggest things. Now, sometimes you're going to have a seller that needs to close real quick, and that works out for them. And sometimes they need to take their dear sweet time because they have to buy the next house, which is where the occupancy comes into play. They might need 2 to 3 days post-occupancy to move, clean, things like that. Be flexible about those type of things, because those little nuances can be the big difference between another offer and yours getting accepted. So last bullet point, be reasonable about concessions if you're asking for them. I'm talking about those that are asking for maybe closing cost concessions. If you're asking for, let's just say for simple math, you're asking for $10,000 for concessions, and you're going to offer the 94.6% of the list price, or maybe even a little bit less than that, be prepared for a counter, because that's not necessarily what I would consider a fair deal. So just be mindful of that. And yes, as a buyer's agent, I want to give you the moon and the stars, give you everything that you need, but also my responsibility to you is to, if this is the house that you absolutely want, is to make sure that we get the deal done. Next week's episode, and oh boy, I'm going to love this one, we're going to talk about the myth of Zillow and the Zestimate.